Hey, what's up, everybody? Krista here with the Krista and Ed Show. And today we have Stacey Hylen with us. She is an internationally recognized business growth strategist, coach, and author. She was named International Coach of the Year in 2016. Stacey helps 6 to 7 figure entrepreneurs with powerful marketing and sales strategies to get more clients, more profit, and more time off to enjoy who and what they love. She is the author of the book Hidden Profits. More Clients and Cash being published that was published in 2018. She's the creator of several popular programs, the Hidden Profit System, Become a Magnet, and so many more. She has served as Vice President of Consulting and a senior coach for Chet Holmes and Anthony Robbins' world-renowned Business Mastery Program. The list goes on and on, guys. You are not going to want to miss this episode, so stay tuned.
Hey everybody, Krista and Ed Show. Ed here.
Hi.
Krista. We want to welcome our guest, Stacey Hylen, who is actually hails from Montreal. So hello, Stacey.
Hello.
Hi. Stacey is an internationally recognized business growth strategist, coach, and author. She wrote Hidden Profits, More Clients and Cash. She published that in 2018. You help 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs and business owners grow their business through different powerful marketing and sales tools. You've been, quoted and have been on CNN, Inc., MSN, Money, Fox Business, Entrepreneur Magazine. I mean, the list goes on. So we really appreciate you taking the time to let us chat with you. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited to be here because, we've interacted a bit on social media and I really like, your whole family and business mindset. And I think that's what was congruent. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's talk.
Yeah. So tell us about your journey as an entrepreneur. I know that you originally hail from the United States and then you moved to Montreal. You've traveled a bit. So what led you to where you are today, where you're doing this?
Yeah, so I started selling when I was in 3rd grade. I started selling current stationery. I was buying it for wholesale and selling it to retail to fund my very first travel trip to my aunt's house to go ride her horse for a week. And I loved sales. I had so much fun. Then in 5th grade, I started selling business to business. And I started selling poinsettias, and I would go into restaurants and sell them all their flowers for the holiday season. So I always had little side hustles when I was a kid. My dad came from sales, and how it morphed into coaching is in my last sales job, I was doing selling in the beauty industry, and I was selling very high-end equipment that was like $20,000 to $30,000, whereas the average is between $3,000 to $5,000. And one of my clients, we were doing a very consultative sales model, and I helped her grow her business 200% in 1 year. And I thought, this is fun. Like, I liked helping her with her marketing, with her sales process, all of that stuff. And so I started looking into coaching. And at that time, my dad also passed away, unfortunately. He was only 56, and he was my big mentor. He was my role model. And now, like, at my age, it seems really young, 56. Mm-hmm. And that really influenced, even though I didn't have kids then and I wasn't married then, it 100% influenced how I was going to do the rest of my life. Because my dad, he died without doing anything on his bucket list, even though he was extremely successful. He didn't, when I lived in Europe, he didn't get to come and visit. None of those things. Like, he always wanted to go down the intercoastal waterway in a boat, never did it. So even though he had that financial success, I didn't want to have that same life for my kids. And so part of my mission as a business coach and mentor for people is to help give entrepreneurs back to their families, because I find that so important that they have that, built into their business, and that is their definition of success.
That's
wow.
awesome.
That was amazing that how you just put that, because
that totally aligns with what we're doing.
Yeah,
really.
it totally does, but you just put it in a very good, direct way. And I'm sure that anybody listening to this is going to pick up on that nugget and how important that is to also do, right? Mm-hmm. And for your family, one thing, and one of the reasons why we actually have decided to, wind down and sell the businesses we were running separately and go in together is exactly that reason. Like, we started it because we want to, build this life and whatever for our kids. But what we found was we were taking on more and more and more separately and actually pushing our family away, which goes against everything that, our ultimate goal was, right? So we've decided, no, we're going to double down with our strengths, right? And also do exactly that and help other, entrepreneurs be able to, be more efficient or whatever it is in their business, right? So
I think it's great that you identified that too. Like, I have to say, it brought up memories for me of my best friend who passed away at 33. Mm-hmm. And I remember 6-7 years before he passed away, he had moved to Calgary and opened a little chain of stores. They're like billiard, like a bar and restaurants. And he worked every single day. He was a tradesman by trade, mechanic. So he spent 3 years doing that every day, then came back to Edmonton, opened an automotive shop. I know it's crazy. And he kept the bars and restaurants in Calgary. And then he spent 2 or 3 years ramping up that business, and he worked every day. We had a wedding that him and I went to, like our friends, one of our friends got married, but I can safely say for 6 years, he worked every day, almost every day. And then he had a heart attack and passed away at 33. So when you think about it, somehow what you just told me about your father kind of touched me, because it made me think about that. And I do remember identifying, wow, like, you do have to live life. You have to craft your business and what you're doing around, what's fulfilling, not necessarily just in the grind every day, right?
Yeah, I'm like the anti-hustle person.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, why are you doing that? We can do it way more efficiently. What are you doing?
What is the secret sauce?
And it's funny because, you hear like Gary Vee and all these people, Grant Cardone, and they're very like hustle, but it's like, really? Like, what's their relationship with their kids going to be? What's their relationship with their spouse going to be? And at the end of the when you're there on your deathbed, and I was there when my dad died. Yeah. Literally, are you going to live with regrets, or are you going to live, the life you wanted to live?
I love that your dad had so much influence on you too, as a child. Like, I'm sure when you look back, you can see that a lot of, who you are and who you were growing up had to do with his influence. So also knowing and understanding that's one thing I think that every parent wants, is to be that positive influence and, for their kids to explore those avenues if they're interested. Like our daughter, Scarlett, I mean, I don't know how much you've seen of her, but like, your stories reminded me so much of her.
Yes.
Like, she's like closing deals all day long, upselling, downselling, right? And it's like, where's that? But it comes from him too. Like, she sees daddy, doing exactly that. So I love it.
She needs money to go to the store. She makes fans, and then she has fans that are just colored and then ones that are signatured.
Okay.
She sells them at different prices and goes around to the neighbors and says, hey, here's a fan, and it's awesome. 1 for $5 or 2 for $10, or you can have a signature one. And like, she'll come back with $40 and go, okay, time to go to the store. And you're like what?
That's insane.
Her little wagon rolling behind.
That's awesome. I love it.
So it's great that you bring that up. So yeah, sorry, we totally took over there.
I know, but I'm like, I get it. I get what you're saying. So how old are your kids?
I have a 24-year-old now stepdaughter, and I have a 15-year-old and a 10-year-old, all girls.
All girls.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Do you find, like, are they, do you see some of the qualities in them, like entrepreneurship yet? Are they interested? Do they kind of?
Well, my stepdaughter, she passed her law degree and common law, and so now she's working for the government, which I'm like, oh my gosh, a government worker in the family.
What do you mean? That's like winning the lottery, just getting it in monthly installments. What do you?
So she's doing that. My 15-year-old has been a national level gymnast. She was in the top 50 gymnasts in Canada. So she's been pursuing, that dream. So she had no time whatsoever for anything other than she trains 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, and goes to school half day. But my 10-year-old is the little one that she's doing. I was laughing when I saw the Clorox wipes on your feet or the Lysol wipes, because my little one, she likes to do massage, and then she's like, doing the massage with the cream, and she's like, if you want this many minutes or this many minutes, and I'm going to do meditations for you while we do the massage.
Cool.
No. Oh my God. When she was doing it, I was like, how do you even know that this is kind of what it's like?
I know. It's funny.
They're so funny, and they create that experience. So, that's awesome.
And the thing is that, I worked for Tony Robbins for a few years. So, I do hear the reflections of what I've taught them and the Tony Robbins stuff that, my kids, my 10-year-old, created vision boards without me, actually my 15-year-old started with creating the vision boards without me even saying it. I mean, she had Olympics 2020 on her thing when she was a very young age. So,
yeah. So yeah. they are seeing what you're doing and picking up, and they listen to everything.
Yes, it just stinks when they're like, "Mom, you need to change your attitude. You need to get into state."
Whatever. You're right. Jump up and down. Right?
It's actually really cool how he does that. It really is cool how he does that.
We do our music pump up when we need to get ourselves going. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have our playlist.
Awesome.
Before we do a podcast, well, we didn't today, but we have done that before, where we're stretching and trying to get into state.
So you worked with him for a couple of years. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
It was interesting because when I was considering coaching years ago, somebody in my church actually worked for Tony, but the way that the model was then, you had to travel 50 weeks of the year, and I decided against it. And I was working with Chet Holmes, who wrote the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, responsible for the Dream 100. And in working with Chet, Tony Robbins was on Chet's Dream 100 list. And so he was trying to get Tony as a client. And it was fun on the back end, hearing him say, I have a meeting with Tony this week. Things are looking good and all of that. And then he and Tony actually merged and formed a company together. And the whole business mastery program was Chet and Tony together. So I was vice president of consulting for the business mastery division. So I always tell people I wasn't in the firewalking division. I was in the business growth division.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot.
Wow. That's awesome. Actually, business mastery is on my list of programs that I want to take, actually. I do listen to, especially when I need a really good mindset push, I listen to his podcast because it's really good. He's good at putting in those punches of okay, get rid of that self-doubt right now and move on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I found a lot of the basic learning things that he had concepts that he's the whole kind of your brain is a 1,000-year-old brain, and you immediately are looking for the tiger in the bushes. So you're negative thinking all the time, and you don't necessarily need that today.
Right.
So, but our brain is wired that way, and it kind of really makes it really think logically why we think the way we do. So, yeah.
So that's awesome that you've had that experience as well, and I can imagine you would have learned a lot. So you can bring that to your clients as well.
Yeah. When I started with him, the first business mastery, and that's actually where I met Gary Vee the first time too, was he was one of the speakers at the first business mastery, and he was practically unknown back then.
Yeah.
So when he did that first business mastery, it was right after the recession hit. Mm-hmm. And so, they sold the event. It was $10,000. They had, all the people in the room were really excited because they saw that there was hope and there was possibility, but people were really scared. I don't know if you remember that so much, being in Canada as much as in the US, but it was people were losing their businesses of no fault of their own because they lost funding, their clients lost funding, all of that. And so I remember sitting there, I was working the event, and he asked, he's coaching people in the audience, and the guy stands up and asks a question. And he said to Tony, I've been doing this and it's just not working. Nothing's working. So Tony starts coaching him and he said, well, what's not working? And the guy said, nothing's working. He said, I've tried everything. And at this point, I'm like, uh-oh, he's in trouble. Tony's going to go Tony on him, right? Yeah. So Tony's like, well, how many things did you try? Yeah. And the guy said, oh, well, I tried this and this. And Tony's like, okay, so you didn't try everything. You tried like 2 or 3 things. Yeah. And then Tony said, well, how many times did you try those 2 or 3 things? And the guy said, oh, like, a few times. And Tony said, so you're saying that you've tried everything, but you've tried a few things a few times and it didn't work. So he said, well, why did you stop right there? And this was my biggest aha working for Tony, is that the guy said, I ran out of resources. I didn't have enough time. He didn't have the team. He didn't have the budget. Those were all the reasons that he stopped. And Tony said, like, who else gets stopped because they don't have enough resources? And like every single person's hand went up. And he said, well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen somebody that came to the United States with less resources than you that is more successful than you? So like immigrants that came with $200, that didn't speak English, that didn't go to Harvard, that didn't have a network, that didn't have, childcare for their kids, or, a car, or, any of this that we take for granted. And the guy's like, yeah, he said, there's, this person and this person that I can think of. And Tony said, so it's not a lack of resources that was your stumbling point. It was a lack of resourcefulness. Yes. And that was the takeaway that I've taken into everything in my business since then, is how can we look at everything from a place of resourcefulness instead of a place of lack? Yes. And that's how my Hidden Profits was born. Is a lot of my clients were like, okay, how do we increase sales without spending more money on marketing, without doing, another, platform, without hiring more people? We had to get really, bootstrap, and all the strategies in the Hidden Profits help you increase your sales without spending more money. They're either free or low cost. Yeah. And so that's how that all came about, was just from that mindset shift to say, how can we be more resourceful with what we have right here? Yeah.
And, especially nowadays, I mean, it's all at your fingertips, really, right?
Yeah.
If you want it, go get it. It's there. And even like social media and this kind of stuff, right? Like, it's there. There's so many free ways to like put yourself out there and market right now. And, there's a gap in that as well, right? So we're really passionate also about, educating entrepreneurs about that as well, right? So that's so cool. I love just positive people and things like that. Yeah. It just makes me happy.
I think we would be best friends if we didn't have this whole country of Canada in between us.
We can come visit. We love Montreal.
Yeah. Like, come on over. I'll come, probably.
You can come to Banff.
Oh, it's on my bucket list. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah, it's a couple hours away from us.
There you go.
That's what I always said when I traveled across Canada and I'd be in Quebec. I'd be like, listen, you need to, seriously, like it's so beautiful. And then really, the Eastern Townships and all of the beautiful topography in Quebec. I mean, we live in a beautiful country, really.
Yeah, very, very.
Yeah.
Lots of natural resources.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
I also have family and grew up like everywhere. I'm like a gypsy in Nova Scotia. So
nice.
We do usually every year we seem to have gone back, but this summer we didn't. But
the yearly pilgrimage.
Yes. Back east.
What's that?
I said back east.
Seafood.
Yeah. Nova Scotia is beautiful too. I don't know if you've ever been. But.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, so why don't you tell us, do you mind telling us, we always like to ask everybody about their superpower?
Sure. So I think my superpower is really helping businesses optimize what they're doing. So, it happens that you can't look at things with the same eyes that other people can. I always give, for example, like Oprah, like she used to do the makeover shows, and they were her most popular shows. They would take this guy that was like, I don't know if you ever watched that show, mountain guy with a big beard, and, they made him over, a lady, and afterwards you're like, oh my gosh, they had this nice looking person inside. They just didn't know how to dress. They didn't know how to style their hair. And so I am not that person I'm not going to make you over fashion wise. I know that's more your style with the fashion, but but I'm able to look at your business and see those hidden profits that you can't see. They're right there in front of you. Like I just got off the phone with a guy today that we changed something in his business, and he's like, that was $40,000 in one session that you improved my business in one half-hour call. And that was the first time I had spoken to him. So I'm able to see the things that are underneath that you're not seeing, and really look at how can we optimize the marketing? How can we optimize your sales process? And sometimes they're just little baby tweaks that you're making, that you're asking a better question, that you're, improving the process that people are going through. And sometimes it's optimizing the stuff between our ears, that you just have to make a shift there, that I think that I'm really good at. And I love it. It gets me excited every day when I get to do it.
You get that real good fulfilling, that you feel fulfilled, especially when you make that kind of impact on a business or for a person with making one tweak, right? It's just, you're changing their lives, their business, everything.
And their families, right?
Family.
Like if you're helping them to bring in more money or have more time or whatever that looks like, there's this huge trickle effect. So that's a pretty good superpower to have, my friend.
Absolutely. That's a good one. So how do you juggle from a business to personal life? Like you work in your office, you're working from your home office, right? So you probably have to juggle a bit of, is your husband an entrepreneur as well?
No, he actually works for a big corporation, and he's the sales manager for Eastern Canada and New England. So he travels a lot.
Okay.
And so it's been a little challenging because, like I said, my 15-year-old is, she's been an elite level gymnast, national level gymnast. And so she's been training a lot. There's been a lot of travel with that. So what I look at is before I start my year, I block out, there's a calendar right in front of me that I block out every day that the kids have off of school. Mm-hmm. So if the kids have the day off of school, the weekend of my birthday, we're going to Boston because they don't have school on Friday. So it's let's maximize that 3-day weekend that we have there because they don't have school. And so every decision I'm making is okay, is this a good fit for me and my business? I'm going to Florida for I'm speaking at the Women in Power Expo, which has 3,000 women entrepreneurs. While I'm there, I'm also doing Hidden Profits Miami, a live event, but I'm bringing my 10-year-old with me. So, that was on my list. It was I'm speaking at awesome places, staying at the beach, and I can bring my family with me. So, when my daughter was doing gymnastics, she trained with the U.S. Olympic coach. And when she was there training with the U.S. Olympic coach, I did Hidden Profits Boston. So, I'm just kind of fitting them together, but making my decisions based on the family life that I want to have.
Yeah. And I think that's so important to do, or not important. I guess I should say, if that's something that, entrepreneurs want to do, it's possible to do that, right? It's just shifting some of those priorities and including the family as a whole. So I love that idea. We're really trying to figure out our calendar situation. I've been fighting calendars and lists for so long, and I'm realizing, oh my God, I need them in my life.
We have a huge calendar under the computer right now that needs to be filled out.
No, I mean for long term, the yearly thing, what you just said, because sorry, I'm just touching. I'm I just had, it seems like a no-brainer, but I'm I feel we're always behind on the school stuff and oh yeah, there's a day off tomorrow, so I'm gonna do what you just.
I give that as soon as, and I mean I'm looking at it the year ahead, even when I'm choosing speaking gigs and things like that, because I know that if your thing is during my kids' spring break, unless I can bring my kids. And with my daughter's gymnastics competition, she always used to have a competition the week of spring break, so I could never do that. Yeah. But now she's retired and moved into diving, so I'm looking at having a little bit more free time. But definitely, I feel guilty sometimes. I'm taking 8 to 10 weeks of vacation.
Awesome.
But it's if you can do that and have a successful business, then I'm excited to at least show people that it's possible.
Yeah.
One of my clients, one of the things I'm the most proud of is I had a client he's been on the Inc. 5000 list 3 or 4 times. He had never, your friend, unfortunately, he was going down that road that he was working all the time. And I was able to help him improve his sales copy, improve all this stuff. And we got him taking Friday afternoons to go take his son to Taekwondo. And then he took his family to Disney for their first vacation. And, I'm not working with him anymore, but I still see him and his wife on Facebook. They're traveling all over the world.
Nice.
With their kids.
Yeah.
And it gives me chills just to think that, because of our coaching, that it's like, okay, let's optimize your business, get the most you possibly can out of your business, but let's get the most out of your life, as well.
Yeah. And if you do that and you have balance, I'm not saying I've struggled with that as being a workaholic in the past. If you can step back and have a refreshed brain and have time for yourself and re-energize your batteries, come back, you're actually way more productive and way more successful doing that.
And then, not being reactive all the time, I think is the key here, right? Because that's when you're just constantly like starting over and chasing your tail. So optimizing your business and your life. I like it.
And that's my podcast, Optimize Your Business and Your Life is the name of my podcast.
No way. Is it? Yeah. I did not know that. Did you tell me?
Krista, really?
I swear to God, I did not know that. I swear to God. Okay.
That's awesome.
It's so intertwined. You can't separate them.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we're all going to be best friends here.
No, for sure.
This is awesome. We are.
What's for dinner? No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
We'll go out someplace really fun.
Catherine's,
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
So do you have a question for us?
I do. Something that's been coming up a lot for me as a mom, and because you guys are parents and business owners, is the whole, path for our kids. And so I thought you guys would be cool to bounce this off of. Like, my 15-year-old hates school. She's like the most persistent, determined, like, she fell off that beam, she would get back on. She fell off, she'd get back on, but school's really hard for her. So I'm curious, like, what's the path that you guys are telling your kids? Do they have to go to college? Do you want them to be entrepreneurs? How are you approaching that conversation? Because I see the university thing kind of shifting in the world right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the oldest is actually in college right now. Lauren just came home yesterday with a book of stuff from high school of all the schools she's
different
interested
universities.
In. Scarlett and Jax are still young, but I'll just speak like from my perspective. I myself never had the opportunity to go to college or university. I'll tell you, like, I don't think in my house it was really even like spoken in a sense. Do you know what I mean? When I was in my 20s, I kind of felt a bit ripped off and lost when I became an adult, because I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I feel like I was supposed to know, like I wasn't prepped for it in a sense. And then, working in the corporate world and stuff like that, like I'm open to not going to university, if that makes sense, in the traditional school system, because I know as an adult, for me, sometimes I felt like there were different positions that I didn't necessarily get because I didn't have the certain things on paper. Or I've seen, I've also, been part of hiring process as well, where people were dismissed, but it's like, but they have so much talent and obviously there's certain things, right? If you're going to be a brain surgeon, please, like, go to school, you have to do that, right? But, when you're talking about, let's say marketing and that type of business type stuff, I think it's important. For our kids, like, I want to encourage them and I want to give them options, right?
If they want to go to school, they can go to school. If they want to explore different opportunities,
I don't want to push one or the other, but I want to make sure that those options are there, that they understand the different paths that you can take, right? Depending on what you're interested in, the advantages of and school doesn't have to be, or university, like traditional going that way either. There's lots of, different programs that you can be a part of as well to get you there if that's the case. So,
I want to say something really interesting since you brought up this, and I'm just thinking about it and processing it. I'm just thinking of, and it's just to throw it out there for you, for listeners. When you think of digital marketing as an example, traditional education, like university degree, by the time the program is made, it's obsolete. Like I go on our Google AdWords because we're a Google partner and we do advanced Google AdWords related services. Well, that system now is updating every a couple hours. Like it's so, and new data, new types of data sets, new ways of optimizing. It's happening minute by minute, hour by hour. So if somebody has a passion for marketing, and online marketing is an example, I really find most of the programs that are out there are suspect, because you run that 4-year program, and sure, you might have a marketing degree,
but you're not learning how to run the business or make money.
Well, or more so just the platforms, they're changing so fast, and things are new trends. And so how do you, so that's kind of part of the mix here. It's like,
no, I agree. And it's that whole old school, marketing degree that's like so outdated.
Yeah.
But I think it's really the value of education, right?
Mm-hmm.
And self-education, because, I've trained with Russell Brunson. I've hired him as my coach. So working with Tony, all of those things, It's like I'm learning on my own. It's not like I went to school for that. It has nothing to do. So I just try to leave those roads open for them to join.
Yeah. I think learning is important, right?
Mm-hmm.
To keep growing. You should always be learning somehow, right? And expanding and doing all that kind of stuff. But I think it's changing, and there's a lot of other resources out there as well.
I would say that Krista has exposed me to learning again, and coaching and mentoring and masterminds. I had an ad agency with a full, staff and clients, and you kind of get to this point. It's like, I'm okay. And
you think you know everything, but if you get stuck in that bubble,
that's when you're in trouble.
That's when you are setting yourself up for, disadvantage in the marketplace.
Yeah. If you're like, okay, I'm the least smart person in the room, that's a good thing. Like it's a
humbling thing, but in my masterminds, I'm always like, oh my gosh, like these people are so brilliant, and there's so many different paths.
Yes.
Like, in my mastermind, it's like you see this person's blogging, this person's, doing this, and you're like, these things did not exist when we were kids. So there's so many possibilities.
Like my daughter, Scarlett, I already recognize some areas where the school system is, I don't want to say failing her, right? But it's just people learn differently. Do you know what I mean? But everyone's kind of being put into this one style of learning. And what she does is she actually downplays herself, like her being smart, because she doesn't want other people to feel like they're not as smart. And she'll tell me this, right? She'll be like, Mom, like the whatever patterns we're doing and stuff, like they're too easy. And she's upset because she feels like she can't. But she's also exceptionally, I think, smart in some other ways, right? And I've always been aware of that. And I mean, I guess that's my spot where I have to watch it and make sure that she's being challenged, and she's not going to be, whatever. Like we've even talked about, homeschooling and stuff too, right? It's a whole other avenue, but I'm definitely open to all of it. And I wouldn't want to put the pressure on them to be like, you have to go to university or else you suck. Because I've seen a lot of my friends even go through that. And a lot of people go, but then they don't end up even, using their degree and stuff either, because they're just going because that's what you're brought up to think you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
right?
I have a friend who's a police officer.
It can be a setback too, yeah.
I have a friend who's a police officer. It was like as soon as he got out of school, his parents are like, you have to go get an arts degree or something. And he went and got an arts degree, and it was like he still didn't, even at the end of that, really know. He's going to see this, by the way. He knows who it is. So he'll be like, oh, he brought me up. Well, anyways, and then he became a police officer. It was like a total different path, but it's like, are you ready even to go? So.
Yeah, and it's fun to see, like when I look at all the things that I liked when I was a kid, like sales, and I always thought, well, maybe I want to be a guidance counselor, or maybe I want to be a psychologist, maybe I want to be a newscaster, right? All of those things. Like, look at us, we're like newscasters.
I know. Right? We have our own radio shows on there.
Right? Yeah, I know. All of these things are just kind of like jumbled together and made like an amazing mix that unfortunately, our parents never had this opportunity when they were younger. So it's really exciting.
That's a good question. Thanks for asking it. Sorry if I rambled a bit, because it just got me thinking. Like I never really thought of this, and it's a good
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, you told me to try to stump you, so I had to.
Well, it just made me think, like, wait a minute. You have been telling your older kids, go to university.
I have,
suck.
yeah.
So maybe we need to figure that.
Yeah.
Not or you suck. That's not true. You never said that. But
Yeah.
it's funny how society kind of molds you too, and for generations of how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of goes through family to family as
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah.
I mean, like anything, like I said, I want my kids to have every opportunity that they can to explore it. When I see that there's an interest, you know, I nurture it, right?
Yeah.
Like your daughter being a gymnast, that's not something you could force a child to do. Like they have to want to, they have to really enjoy it and have the passion behind it. So I love that, you know, you're supporting her, right? Because some parents are like, well, no, it's too much time commitment into whatever. But
the finances, whatever it may be, right?
Just the fact that she is so dedicated to that will transpire. Is that a word?
No, transfer.
Whatever. Oh my God, I don't know. Into, you know, her adulthood, right?
Yeah.
To have that focus and
Work
dedication,
ethic.
be a part of a team and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I keep telling her, because she's at that point. In fact, it came up this morning. She had a paper that they had a presentation on, like, getting into college this week.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, they're putting everybody in a box. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have this thing of like, let's get rid of the box.
Yeah, like we're always trying to get rid of it.
Outside the box.
Yeah.
Press the box.
I think that starts with our kids, to let them be outside the box. And hey, maybe this new Lysol wipey pedicure is going to be the hit.
Right? Like, I have to say, I was kind of surprised. Like, my feet didn't like burn or anything.
Show your feet.
No, they're not.
Don't show your feet.
Like, they are. Yeah, I was like, they felt so clean. I was like, oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I was like, am I going to break out in like a rash or something? No, like they're safe. They're definitely safe.
Yeah, I was going to say, you bringing your 10-year-old, sorry, I'm on that train of thought, and it is inspiring in itself. Like, they might like, wow, I want to do this. It's like, it's really cool. I think the thing, like, I have a previous experience of a friend of mine that was like an Olympic level figure skater and went every day, trained every day. In fact, half days. So only went to school half the time.
That's what my daughter did.
And then had some medical issues with her feet. And then it was like, you're a figure skater and you're at this level to done. I think the big critical thing, at least from talking to her experience, was that transition from that whole real focused with purpose to, okay, where do I now channel that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, my daughter had a broken back. So she made it all the way to Elite Canada, which means she was in the top 50 gymnasts in Canada. She was at the same competition as the Olympians. And then she broke her back, and now she just decided to retire like 3 weeks ago. Yeah. And she started diving, and now she's training with the 2 Olympic diving coaches. But there's this whole thing of like, you know, I'm not pushing her, like whatever she wants, but she has this drive inside that she just needs to fulfill. Yeah. And it's like, the little one is so creative and so passionate. So it's like, okay, this one is the drive and like perseverance. And my 10-year-old, it's like creativity and inspiration. So it's like, you know, it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the 2 of them together for the powerhouse.
Yeah. And I'm excited to bring my daughter to Florida with me, because she's going to see me speak twice. Yeah. And then I'm going to have a booth at the expo. So she's going to be able to work the booth with me, which I did with my mom when my mom did a craft show. You know, like she did an art business when I was a kid. So that's all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I we involve the kids too, wherever we can. Yeah, I love that. And I think it's huge. I'm actually considering taking Scarlett to Funnel Hacking Live next year. I think she would really enjoy that. She loves adults too. Like, she wants to hang out with the teachers and chit chat instead of going to recess, right? So, but I like to nurture that, like, you know, and she'll like talk about like black holes and like crazy stuff. Like, I don't know.
She and my 10-year-old would get along really good.
Yeah.
Follow that one.
That's for our trip to Montreal.
Yes.
Or
Definitely.
your trip to Banff.
Whatever.
Yes.
Figure that out.
Yeah.
So, if our viewers want to get in touch with you, how can they do that? Where can we direct them?
Sure. So if you want to have a chat, you can go to staceyhylen.com and you can book a quick chat if you're interested in finding the hidden profits in your business. If the other place you can go is to moreclientsandcash.com, because who doesn't want more clients and cash, right? And that is a checklist of the things that you need to do to increase the clients and cash in your business. So that's a great place to get started, that you can look at, oh, I could do this one little thing and check it off the list.
That's awesome. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Yes.
And hearing about your family and your passions. So thank you.
It's been
Business.
awesome.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
All right.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. We want to make sure to tell you to comment below. Let us know your biggest takeaway from today's video. All right. Hashtag Krista and Ed. If you like this video, hit that like button.
Please like it, love, share the love, and share.
Yeah,
Right?
Ed likes to share. Sharing is caring.
That's
So
right.
share it with other entrepreneurs, anybody that you know who needs some awesome marketing tips. We would be so happy to share with them as well.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe.
Because if you don't subscribe to our channel, you're going to miss out on all the good stuff, guys.
You're gonna miss the love.
You're going to miss the love.